Let's get it on in August. Whoop, whoop. Red Hot August. August nights. Also named for Julius Caesar. A lot of people don't know that.
Hold on. You think August is named for Julius Caesar
Yeah.
and not Caesar Augustus?
It's the Julian calendar or whatever. Everybody knows this. This is, yeah, man.
You don't
The
think
months are named after the Caesar.
you don't think July is named after Julius Caesar
Oh.
and August is named after Caesar Augustus?
Are these two different guys?
They are. That's why they have two different names.
Awful quiet in here.
Guess there's not one guy with 12 names then.
From fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Pod Therapy. Real people, real problems, and real therapists. You can submit your questions anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. We're turning over a new leaf. No more inside jokes.
Oh, yeah.
All right?
That's right. We're doing better.
Starting fresh. And now, broadcasting from the churn, that guy is Dr. Jim Jobin. I'm Nick Tangeman. It's time for some Pod Therapy.
Hello,
Jim's
listeners.
mom's a bat.
Yes.
Ah, damn it.
Damn, we almost got into, we didn't even get through the intro. We got feedback from listeners of the show who support us at patreon.com/therapy who said, hey guys, your show's important. Make sure that your main segment is user-friendly to new people. Be welcoming. Don't make everything an inside joke. So we're gonna do better about that next time. 'Cause I think we've already played
Starting
it.
right now.
Yeah, you know what? Now.
Right
Back
now.
to one. This is where we go. Welcome to Pod Therapy, everybody, and welcome to Sunshiny August, which I think is the hottest month for us. I think July or August. What do you guys think? Is Las Vegas?
It's one of those two.
I mean,
It's pretty miserable.
is there
hot.
a difference?
Yeah, it's
we're
hard to know.
kind of splitting
Everything's on
hairs.
fire.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Are we at the surface of the sun or slightly into the corona? I don't know.
So I was golfing this morning,
Okay.
and so
Ooh,
we
this
pretty
today's
much
a hot day.
yeah, it's
yeah,
hot.
today's really toasty.
Uh,
It's like
we-
108
I mean,
out there.
If we
Oh,
can,
it's hotter
so
than that.
we
Yeah, I think it is.
we teed off at 7:40,
Okay.
and that's about as late as we want to tee off.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like if we can get out, if we can be like the first group out at like 6 a.m.,
You want that.
that's the
You
one.
about 3 hours?
Oh God, no! Today was really slow. It was almost. That's why I was late getting here. It was,
Ooh.
it was like 4.5, almost
Whoa.
5 hours. Yeah,
Wow.
it was really really.
There's
slow.
just
a lot
no
of waiting around.
break from it because there's no
No,
shade
but
on the golf course.
I have done everything I possibly can to make it as comfortable as I possibly can.
Okay.
So I've got shit.
Do you
I
wear
just-
that hat I got you with an
God
umbrella
damn
on it?
I just left something in the cart. I just realized it now.
Oh no!
Oh,
Was
well.
it your golf clubs?
No.
Oh.
No.
It was Laura.
Yeah, I
She is going to be mad.
I stuffed her in the back where that little basket is,
Yeah.
and I kind of forgot.
It's a very convenient basket.
It is.
She just fits so
No, so I
snugly
got
in there.
so I got UV sleeves,
Oh, smart. Okay.
and those actually work.
Yeah,
I
I know.
honestly thought they were BS.
No,
but
they're great.
Oh, they work really well.
Yeah.
And then I had a neck gaiter,
Okay.
which I just realized I left in the cooler.
Okay. Yeah.
do you
that's
do the
replaceable.
net gator? Like, do you do the water on it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get it
So
nice
what
and
I
wet?
do is I'll put it in the
Ice
cooler.
water. Yeah.
On the cart. And so it'll get nice and cold and wet,
Yep.
and then I put that around my neck, and
That's
then that cools
golden.
me off.
Yep.
And then I've got the towel. I've got a towel too
The
that'll throw
icy
in
towel.
there.
Yeah. You don't wear that hat I got you with the umbrella on it? I got you that for your birthday
Yeah, and
in 2018. You don't-
you're surprised.
Okay. That's cool. I just assumed you didn't.
You're surprised I don't wear a hat with an umbrella on it.
I mean, it seemed like it would have been useful today.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's,
Yeah, I
that's
don't know.
fine.
Maybe
I mean,
you're
I got to
right.
say, it would probably help.
Yeah. You don't wear a
Stay
hat
out
at
of
all?
this, Jacob.
Do you
I think
not
you should
a
wear the
hat?
umbrella hat, Nick.
I know. Like it was
Nick,
a
I'm pretty
gift.
sure you should be wearing the umbrella hat
Yeah.
for your safety
Yeah.
and for the children.
Yeah. For the children.
Do it for the children.
How do you know it wouldn't help
Yeah.
your game? I mean, you didn't have an experiment. You
I'm
don't
not
wear
saying
like a
it wouldn't.
sombrero or a sun hat or anything?
Oh, I wear
He
like
wears a full
ball cap.
sombrero.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Or I would wear a sombrero. I wouldn't be wearing a baseball cap. That is not enough.
Yeah, that looks stupid.
Well,
Baseball cap.
no, I'm
would
not
be
talking about-
stupid.
oh,
sombrero.
I don't know if I
that's-
strike you as a man who cares about beauty, but I don't. I care about that giant brim that I need to like cover my shoulders and neck. Like I want all the sun protection.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
No,
It's hot as hell outside.
it's
everybody.
very warm.
As we said in the intro, we are from fabulous Las Vegas. We have not done any inside jokes yet, except for Laura. Laura's Nick's girlfriend, and she's very nice.
Yes.
And she's loosely associated with Nazism, but not of her own choosing. She's actually lovely.
She's
But
She was born into it.
Jesus.
anyway, we've got some great questions. First one is from Laura, actually, not your Laura,
Not
but
my Laura.
a Laura. Turns out it's a popular name. Am I leading my husband on with couples therapy? Hello, I left my husband in July of last year. My reasons for leaving were more along the lines of irreconcilable differences, rather than some of the more serious things couples sometimes go through. And for that reason, I struggled for a long time with the decision to leave. I'm 90% certain that I do not want to reconcile. Although he has since admitted that he knew I was not happy for the last 5 to 6 years before I left, he did not see it coming and did not take it well.
How long were they together?
I don't know.
Did it say? Okay.
Nope, not yet.
More
5 to
than-
6
more than
years,
5 or 6
though,
years.
of bad time. Yeah,
Yeah.
so you got to assume. While he
At least
generally lacks emotional intelligence, which has been the source of some of my unhappiness, as a rule, he has never been physically abusive to me. However, his behavior was very dark in the months after I left. For example, after asking me if I thought there was a chance we could work it out, and me telling him I didn't think so, his response was, "This is what bullets were made for." He also burned some of my clothing and vandalized some of my belongings before I could retrieve them from our home. By vandalizing my belongings, I mean he wrote messages in magic marker on the back of framed pictures and artwork, such as, "I hope you choke every Easter, Thanksgiving, and Christmas." Oh, shit. He has said to me that he wishes me nothing but misery for the rest of my life because of what I've done to him. I also had to block him on Facebook because of the terrible things he was posting on my page. I believe I'm being honest when I say that I have not done anything malicious to him outside of moving out. I'm the breadwinner and have continued to pay the mortgage on our home, although he began paying the utilities a few months after I moved out. I have not left him with any financial burdens, and I only took my personal belongings when I left. I understand that people do and say things that they don't necessarily mean when they're hurting, but while I have never been the target of this behavior until now, I have seen him be this way with other people. I had asked him to consider going to couples therapy on 3 different occasions over the years, but he refused to go until after I left. We have been to 2 sessions so far and have 3 more scheduled at this time. His behavior has settled down, and he is no longer displaying the level of aggression I experienced in the first months after leaving. However, I'm concerned that this is only because we are going to therapy, and he is hopeful that we can reconcile. I'm concerned that if or when we get to the point where I once again say that I do not want to reconcile, that this behavior will return with a vengeance. My question is this: am I potentially causing him, and or myself, more harm by continuing to go to therapy, even if I'm mostly sure that I don't want to reconcile? The therapist asked during our first session what our goal was, and his goal is to reconcile, and my response was that I can't consider reconciliation unless and until I feel safe enough to share my feelings without experiencing violent or aggressive backlash from him. Until we get to that point, I have no plans to pursue reconciliation, and I don't know if I would want to reconcile even if we did get to that point. I guess I'm worried that I'm leading my husband on by agreeing to go to therapy. Also, I'm concerned about what might happen if we continue to go and then I ultimately decide I do not want to reconcile, and this throws him into a cycle of aggression again. Is it reasonable to think that therapy can help avoid this, even if we do not reconcile? Thanks for your time, and sorry about the long email. You may call me Laura.
Thank you, Laura.
Yeah. Wow. So there's some safety issues here, definitely. But I'm just trying. I'm really curious, like what his play is on this. Like like. I hope you choke every Easter, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, and let's try to work things out.
In fairness, that's the greeting card I bought from Walmart, and so like that's...
Oh, you can easily buy those without reading them.
Yeah.
Sure.
I like the picture of the dog on the front. It's this really cute dog with sunglasses, and I didn't read it.
And he's pooping.
He's pooping, and I was like, oh, this will be cute, and I gave it to my grandma, and, I didn't read the inside. So, in fairness, that's pretty common.
That just happens.
Yeah,
Right,
that will happen to anybody. So we got to discount that
one.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is Jim and Jacob are going to dismiss that behavior.
Yeah.
They're fine with it.
No worries
no concern
there.
Neutral at
all.
best.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I guess I'm going to be the weird guy out and just say that's a little concerning for me.
You're getting out there on the ledge, I
you
guess.
do you, Nick.
Yeah.
Me, I'm betting conservative.
All right.
Oh, you're betting that he's conservative? Yeah, me too.
staying off that one.
How's he looking that Hawaiian shirt?
Oh, Lord. This is a good question, man. There's a lot of layers to it. And this is, I guess...
Can I start with one
Yeah.
thing? One thing, Laura, I think that I got to give you a pat on the back. You did a great job going into therapy and saying exactly what you felt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
And so,
Bravo.
I mean, as
For
far
real.
as like leading him on, I don't think you did that at all. You were very clear and you're like,
No.
what's your best hope for therapy? Well, here's what I hope.
Yeah.
I can't say I'm willing to reconcile. I mean, throwing all the cards out on the table right away, right up front, that's a great move.
It's as honest as you can
My
be.
Yep.
my only question that kind of dovetails off of that is kind of what your therapist asked, and that is, what is your goal in doing this therapy?
Right.
Because the question that keeps coming to my mind is, why are you doing this? I mean,
Right.
unless you have a thought or a hope of reconciliation somewhere in the back of your head, and I completely agree with you that you cannot really entertain that thought until you address these other issues.
Yeah.
But unless it's somewhere in your mind that you are going to reconcile and that you want to reconcile with this person,
Right.
then I don't understand what the purpose of couples therapy is for the two of you.
Yeah, and that purpose may change over time.
Yep.
And I love how you came right out of the gate and said, look, I don't know what I'm here for. You know, husband or ex, well, it sounds like it's still husband, says, look, I want to reconcile. And you're saying, I want aggression and anger to stop. And then I'm available to have other conversations. But we do not pass go until we at least get there. Which, great. And I think hand on a lie detector, that was true. I think that is your truth. Like if we said, oh, if you can, are you 100% sure you don't want to reconcile? I'm not 100% sure about anything, you know, like.
Certainly.
Yeah. So I
I'm not
totally
completely
understand.
sure about what I want for lunch.
Yeah. You
Right.
know, 1% left on the table is enough to say, I want to go to therapy in part to discover where I stand or to have this conversation out loud in a supervised way.
Right.
That's fair. That's a very fair reason to go.
Yeah.
I mean, what I would want is for you to go to therapy on your own and for him to go to therapy on his own.
There's value to that. Yeah, absolutely. When I sit down with couples, I always audition 3 possible goals. So at the end of my first session with couples, I'll always ask them, you know, what are we here for? And you know, I kind of frame it as, if we were successful and you look back and say, you know what, I got what I wanted out of therapy, what will have happened or what will have changed? And in that case, the husband in this case probably be like, oh, okay, Jim, my answer to that is we would be back together and we would be happy and we'd be living together. Okay, great.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. I just need something to understand where your mentality is. And her answer would probably be, we would be out of conflict. That would be great. And from there, I'm open to discovering what comes next. And I would stop her right there and say, great, let's pump the brakes. That's where I want you. That's fine.
Yeah.
Because whenever I work with couples, I usually audition 3 possibilities. I say option A, you might say something like, I want this to work. I'm all in still. And we just have issues to work out. That's some couples. Option B, some couples will say, I'm here to discover what it is I want. I'm here to discover where I stand. I'm here to explore it, but all directions are currently on the table, and I'm doing therapy to figure that out. And then option 3 is usually, look, and this might be where you are right now, Laura, which is, I don't think I want this anymore, but I care about this human, and I don't want conflict with this person. And so I'm really coming to you to hospice this relationship,
Yeah.
bring it to a gentle end, and help us transition to the friendship or the co-parenting that we need to become so that we can still be kind.
Yeah.
And I'm here to do
kind
that.
of dissolve it without conflict.
Yeah.
Yes. And all those are legitimate options for me. And so
Certainly.
I love that. And that might be where you end up, Laura. But right now, just conflict management is a high priority for you. And it's working, by the way. Laura said, hey, husband is not being as much of a dick. But then Laura says, is that because of therapy alone? Yeah, Laura, it is. That's why we're here.
No. I think there's a legit question in there.
Okay.
Because I think it is not necessarily because of therapy alone. I think that it could possibly be
Oh, he thinks
he has hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. He thinks it's gonna.
Which goes back to Laura's fear of like,
Right.
okay,
Right.
but
And
if
I mean,
and when
and
I
this-
reveal there isn't hope, what
Right.
happens
This
now?
this might be a borrowed calm, which I believe is Laura's concern.
I
here.
like that
Yeah.
phrase. Yeah. And so to get ahead of a solution here, Laura, one thing I would suggest, and by the time you're hearing this, I don't know how many more of your sessions have happened, but I would start, you've already started the entire therapy experience right-sizing the goal. And I'm glad the therapist asked you and you used that opportunity to language what your truth was at the time. your therapist is going to ask again. Your therapist is going to periodically take everybody's temperature and saying, Laura, how are you feeling about things? Where are you at? And when that comes up,
Any changes in goal?
yeah, and when it comes up, I really hope that you'll language whatever is your truth at that time. Just practice how you're going to say it so that it's like, well, I hate him, I hope he dies. Like, don't say that, but instead go with the whole, like, I'm really hoping that we get out of conflict. I care about him as a person. And I want to
thought for sure you were about to be like, I really hope that he dies.
I hope. Yeah, what is it you're hoping for, Laura? I guess I'm hoping he chokes on Easter, Thanksgiving, and on every birthday.
Yeah.
I think that's where I'm going with that. So you'll get opportunities to language this, but why do I think that's helpful? Because now the therapist can kind of see the writing on the wall and can kind of keep aiming for that goal. That's why you tell us what the goal is, so that we can now step in and help husband kind of steer back onto the tracks here and go, hey, let's work on conflict. Let's get ahead of this. And even auditioning change and being like, hey, husband, let's imagine this doesn't work out. What do you think you want? Well, I don't know. I'll be really hurt. I'll be really broken, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But now this therapist is going to therapize that, right? And try to get somebody to cope in a more healthy way. And worst case scenario, Laura, even if nothing good comes of this, and at the end of this, he does snap back and you do have like some grand finale of therapy where you say, okay, after 7 sessions, I'm here to say we've tried. I do not want to reconcile. This process has revealed that, but I care for you and I hope you're well. And let's say he does snap and goes, F all this, and flips the table over and says, if nothing else was gained out of that, he now has 7 hours invested talking to a therapist. It's very likely he will come back, even if that's just to bitch about you. Good. I'd rather he have some kind of supervision, some kind of like better way to metabolize that energy. He's at least experienced that. And I think that gives you some possibility for air cover.
Or
that's interesting.
Or he'll blame it all on the therapist. And
that happens too.
And it's interesting that you say that, because the picture of this person that none of us know that is in my mind is of someone who absolutely will never go back to therapy again if it is not with you.
Oh, the guy.
Yeah.
The husband. Very possible. Yeah, might just walk out and be like, well, that was a waste. And that ruined it. And that's tough.
Do you think there's any part of this that is Laura continuing with the couples counseling because she fears for her own safety?
I would want her to bring that up. If that's at all true, Laura, and if you look in the mirror and you say, I'm kind of just here to keep him at bay so that he doesn't do anything dangerous, I want you to start bringing that up. When the therapist asks, how are things going? What's been changing? I want you to bring it up and say, he's been perfectly fine lately, but this weird stuff has happened. And these days I'm feeling scared. And like, it's weird for me to even participate in this process authentically because I don't know what I can and can't say. And the therapist is going to bring that back to husband and go, well, obviously you and I both want Laura to feel safe being here. Yeah. So let's start talking about some boundary things. And
do you think that is something that she should, if that is something that she's feeling, do you think that's something that she should discuss with him in the session or privately with the therapist?
Personally, I would think privately with the therapist, but the therapist may not want to meet privately with just one person.
Yeah.
Because that becomes kind of a
I'll do
issue.
It, but I have rules that attach to it.
Here's the thing, Laura, if that is the case, if you are genuinely concerned about your safety, then I think who you need to actually reach out to is finding a domestic violence advocate or an agency and talk to somebody there, because they've got counselors there specific for this situation.
That know the law.
Well, know the law, but then also can help kind of guide you out of that. Because my only fear would be if this guy truly is somebody who is abusive, let's say he's got a history of domestic violence. If you bring this up in therapy with the therapist, he'll play along until you guys are no longer in counseling.
Right.
When you walk out the door, and then that becomes a safety issue.
And Laura did explain. She did say husband does not have a history. But then this is where...
but I do want to throw that out.
The phrasing of her saying that, I was about to say this, the phrasing of her saying that kind of terrified me in this letter, because I believe it was something along the lines of the husband has not been physically abusive as a rule.
Okay.
And that as a rule, it scares me.
Yeah.
And that might just be me reading too deeply into something, Laura.
Well, I don't like his behavior. I don't like him vandalizing
but the as a
things,
rule to me says
cool
that there has been some physical abuse, but not any kind of pattern of it.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Like, between the lines, you're saying
just like random here and there.
Are there outliers? Okay.
Yes.
And that's a really good point.
That's my concern with the phrasing of that. that may be a 0.
Yeah.
So Laura, if I'm misinterpreting that,
Sure, but I'm
that's a
glad you
0
bring it
and-
up
and
just in
great.
case. So the big question you're asking here, Laura, is the implication is, am I doing something dishonest by being in therapy? No. And here's why. Going to therapy, like all healthcare appointments that one makes, because remember, we often forget therapy is healthcare. Okay, these are qualified healthcare professionals. Even couples therapy is healthcare. Insurance will reimburse or bill for it. So, like, it is considered part of healthcare because your emotional health and your mental health are very much attached to your relational health. And we live in a society that acknowledges this. When humans go to healthcare appointments, humans are inherently going to healthcare appointments to discover and to treat problems. You are showing up in good faith to discover and to treat problems. That is why you are there. That does not guarantee outcomes, okay? And your therapist will tell you that too, which in a second I may have a few words on that from the therapist's perspective, but you are not attempting any particular outcome by going. You can state, these are my desired goals at this time, here's what I'm hoping to gain here, or here's what I'm hoping to resolve, but that process is inherently exploratory and experimental. And anybody who goes, I think, has done their part in good faith.
What if I believe that Laura is absolutely doing her part in good faith.
Good faith.
I want to start by saying that.
Even if you don't think it's going to work out.
Yes.
How many people show up in my office not sure if it's going to work out?
Yeah,
They're
I
still
think,
there.
I think that what you're doing is not a bad thing.
Not at all.
At all, Laura. What if he is not interpreting it the way that she is laying it out? What if he is not taking her at her word?
Right.
When she
Later
says,
on, he says, this was all a ruse.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a scary thing.
Well, and honestly, I think part of that to some degree is probably happening anyway.
It's already going to happen. Yeah.
Because, I mean, having gone through like a divorce that
Right.
was not my idea,
Right.
I did not want, there was a lot of like very clear messages that like, okay, no, this isn't going to work. But there's always a part of you that's like, no, I think it'll work. I think
and
we
also
can.
it sounds like she
you
has
know.
years. It sounds like a decade or decade give or take invested into this.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean that's hard. That's hard work to. I mean, you're changing your life.
Right.
As soon as you say this is over,
That's a big
this
change.
is definitively over.
Right.
Grocery shopping is different.
Oh,
now.
everything.
Yeah.
Like that's a
Everything.
shitty thing to change.
Well, and going back to Jacob brings up a really good question of, so what happens if, Laura, you are blameless and the dudes on this podcast agree with you and the therapist agrees with you and you can sleep at night knowing you've done something honestly and you've done with therapy what therapy was for. But what happens if husband doesn't agree and afterward is like, oh, I've been duped. This whole thing was crap. And this is easy for me to say, but hard for you to live. You are not responsible for the opinions or interpretations of other people.
You
even
are
if they
the
can lay out a
ex-wife, not
case.
his mother.
That's right. And at some point, part of divorce becomes the boundarying of creating a wall where I am no longer going to attach to your feelings and your outcomes. I'm giving you the dignity of risk and choice and discomfort. I'm giving you that dignity of discomfort, and I am no longer going to allow myself to be vilified for those things, to entertain the discussion. The court is adjourned. We're no longer going to sit here and try to cause and effect who did what to when. That's no longer relevant. That's part of what divorcing is establishing that firm boundary between how they're feeling and where you're at. And then at that point, people start facing consequences. And if they continue to harass or call or bother or stalk or any of those things or vandalize, okay, now we're going to allow you the consequences of your action, the logical consequences that are going to teach you, do not harass, do not do these things. There are outcomes for that. Yeah. And look, none of this is easy. Like I said, it's easier for me to say than for you to do. But going to Jacob's question there, it is important because you are not going to be you're not going to be able to control husband's outcomes. And I honestly do not want you going through this entire therapy process just trying to cushion him in bubble wrap so that nothing breaks. Like at some point, we're going to give somebody the dignity of discomfort. Yeah. And we have to allow you the space and freedom to walk away.
I mean, frankly, it's odd. There's a lot of things odd about what we do. Yeah. And one of the odd things is that listeners to podcasts become attached to podcasters. Yeah. Because you hear us, if you listen to the shows regularly, you hear us talking about our own lives, you hear us talking about our personal lives and what have you, and it becomes kind of a one-sided friendship.
Oh, yeah.
Well, something very similar happens in the other direction as well. When you send us a letter, we kind of start thinking as though we are your friends.
Yeah.
You know, in some ways. And so I find myself sitting here thinking, like, I don't care about this guy.
Yeah.
I have zero relationship with
Rooting
this guy.
for you, Laura.
I have 1,000% more of a relationship with Laura than I do with this guy.
Right. Good point.
And so, like, my gut response to this is say, Laura, what are you doing? Get the fuck out of this.
Right. And then we try to zoom out and take that more nuanced
Let's
view.
cut it. Let's cut it and be done.
Right.
Which, if you've listened to the show for a while, you know that's often my advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jacob is the Occam's razor of the problem.
Yeah.
He's going to. The simplest possible solution is do this.
Why are we still thinking and talking about this?
Yeah.
I answered this 30
because
minutes
my
ago.
solution is divorce and restraining order.
There are many ways to skin a cat, but you know, Laura, on this situation,
Which you need a razor for.
an
Possibly
Occam's
one
razor would
loaned
help.
to you by Occam.
That's right. This is a tough
Mr.
one.
Occam.
I think that you participating in therapy tells me that you're there because you do not feel completed and you do not feel resolved.
Yes.
All goals are on the table, and hopefully by getting yourselves in therapy, you have given the best possible odds to the best possible outcomes. Even if that means we're not going to reconcile, but we've found a way to hospice this. That path is somewhat more open because of this, but I do not want you down the road to be held hostage to go to therapy because you feel like you have a tiger by the tail, and if you don't come along with him, he's going to burst, and now you're being emotionally held hostage to go to this therapist to like keep a finger in the dike, to like protect you. I don't want that. At some point, you're allowed to go to that therapy and say, this will be our last session. I've reached some conclusions. This is what I'm afraid of. And I want to announce that here because husband, ex-husband, I will not tolerate that. And if you behave in any of these dangerous ways, there will be legal consequences. And so, look, you may not have those words inside of you yet, Laura, which is why I think Jacob's point of, I hope you're talking to somebody on your own, and Nick's point of, don't forget there are domestic abuse counselors out there that have really solid practical advice. You need to do some gathering of thoughts before you ever make that statement.
And even if there hasn't been physical abuse, even if there's been zero physical abuse, those domestic abuse resources that Nick is talking about, those can still be very valuable too.
Uh-huh.
Good navigators. Yep. Great question. All right. We
That
are
being
going to
said,
take...
I really want to open up a barber shop in town now and just call it Occam's.
Oh, and just see who gets it? All these philosophy majors who can't pay for the
you
haircut?
do shaves, you do a lot of razor work.
Oh, that would be so
a
good.
great
Occam's
idea.
is a good name
It is
for
a
a barber
solid
shop.
name. Oh, who's not doing that already?
Yeah.
So I'll bet you that
If the
exists.
three of us pool our resources together,
We can open a barber shop.
We can
could.
maybe pay for one of us to go get a barber license because I think that's going to be important. Or we open up a barber
I
shop
think
and not
we
have a
hire
license.
barbers.
yeah, we'll just hire a barber.
You guys are really good at this whole business thing. I'm going to listen to you both more often.
Business.
We're going to
Step
take
3, profit.
profit. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to answer a question about why a person is still hurting. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Nathan's Hot Dog Scoop, Dr. Ben, Dawn, Richard, Macy, who has some merch he needs to contact me about, Lord Colin, Stewart, Sammy, Scoop, Polygon, Take It EV, and Paris. And would you like to sponsor a show? Go to patreon.com/therapy and sign up as a therapy producer. Hey guys, we got a question from Eric Lancaster.
Alec,
Lancaster.
real close.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Send in some trivia. So, we're going to get to that in a second.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, patreon.com/therapy.
While you're pulling that up, so
Yes.
Alec is a supporter of the show, and Alec is a particle physicist working at CERN
Okay.
in Europe, the super collider.
That's awesome.
Yeah, CERN, which stands for the Search for Extraterrestrial Realization and Negotiation.
Correct.
Mhm.
Yeah, nailed
Search
it.
with a C. The C is silent.
A search.
Search for the stars.
Yeah.
So yeah, super cool scientist and a supporter of the show and listener to the show. And sent in some questions that I think have to do with science stuff, which clearly the three of us are going to slam dunk. I don't
Certainly.
think... I mean, I don't talk a lot about my knowledge of particle physics, and I'll leave it there. End of thought.
Yeah.
Hey, Pod Therapy people, here's your dose of CERN trivia for the show. I
Okay.
personally think questions 4 and 5 are the most interesting. We'll see.
All right.
But I'll leave it
We'll
up
be
to
the
you.
judge of that.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Alec. All right.
Cool.
First question. which obviously Jim has a distinct advantage. What does the acronym CERN stand for?
Oh, I already said it.
Okay, so final answer
Well,
then.
can you spell CERN though for the listeners?
Yeah, for the listeners.
Yeah.
For the listeners, it's CERN.
Yeah.
CERN.
Mm.
So Jim's locked in. So Jacob, is it the collection of European research nations,
Oh.
Uh-huh.
European Council for Nuclear Research,
Mm-hmm.
the European Center for Nuclear Research, or Center European de, oh my God, Recherches Naturales?
I was about to say, I thought it was in French, but,
Okay.
it could be we could be getting the translation.
And two of them don't start with the C word. They
Yeah, I'm
start
going-
with European.
Yeah,
going
the
A.
European Council.
I'm going A because that at least spells CERN.
The collection of European research nations.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Jim, you said what?
I didn't hear
Something
my
about
answer in there.
extraterrestrial.
I feel like mine's E. Like mine is probably letter E.
Oh wait, give them to me again.
The collection of European research nations.
Yeah.
European Council for Nuclear Research.
Ah.
The European Center for Nuclear Research. Or Center Européen de Recherches Naturales.
Oh, that feels right.
What's
Pretty
the,
sure that's
Yeah.
correct.
Give me the second one.
God, are you just fucking with me?
No, no, I'm trying to remember enough French.
European Council for Nuclear Research.
That's not French.
No shit.
Oh, but it doesn't spell CERN.
I think it's that one.
He's going with B.
Because you think C and D are the same thing.
I think I'm not sure that C and D are the same thing, but I'm trying to remember what I think some of the words in CERN are in French.
Oh, okay.
I'm doing a very roundabout piece of logic.
Oh,
here.
okay.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, because that
I'm-
doesn't spell
okay.
CERN.
So you're going with C?
Yeah. No, I'm going with
D.
B.
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 B
The
as in
European
Bravo.
European research.
I'm going to go with D.
Okay.
The one in French.
You know, I'm going hard on E. I really think it's going to end up being a sleeper, and it's going to be the search
You
for
think it's a trick-
extraterrestrial
you think it's a trick
realization
question?
and negotiation. Yeah, that's it. I'm going E.
You think Alec is just
Lean in on
just
it.
being like, "Fuck you guys"?
Yeah, watch it come up with E, and he's like, just kidding. It's about aliens, bitches.
It is B. European Council for Nuclear Research.
What?
Or Council Européen pour la Recherche Nucléaire.
No.
That's
Secure.
the last word. Because I was pretty sure that the N in CERN was nuclear,
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So there you go.
God,
and
nothing
because it's
about
French, it flips
that
the
goes
order around.
Oh, man. Okay. Off to a weak start. Weaker than
Okay.
I thought I would be for particle physics questions.
Is
I
one of the
really-
questions
Really?
where is CERN? Is that a question?
Oh,
that's coming
I'm
up?
going to smash that one. I know that.
I don't think
It's in
so.
Chicago.
Where is CERN, Jim?
Chicago. Wait, no, he's somewhere else. It's not in Chicago.
Well, the name
It's,
is not in English, so
Oh,
it's
yeah,
probably
yeah,
not
yeah.
in the United
Would you
States
say
of
French?
America.
It's in French. French.
I didn't say it was in France. I said I think the name is French.
I'm going with French.
I think it's in Switzerland.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's in
I
Switzerland.
think it's in Geneva.
Oh. Well, do they speak French and
No, I believe they speak mostly Swiss.
Ooh, in which of the following cities is CERN located?
No way. Is that
Oh.
one of the questions?
Yeah.
That's why I asked
Shit.
first before saying
Let's just
that.
do it. Let's just go
No,
with
no,
it.
we'll do it.
All right,
We'll
you
do
wanna
that
do
one
that
next time.
All right.
All right.
Why am I
I'm
still...
locking in Geneva.
Oh, Jesus. Why am I still hurting? By Anonymous. Hello, I'm hoping you can help me let go of some baggage. I was very mentally unwell 2 years ago. It was so bad that one therapist diagnosed me as borderline personality disorder. Although my current therapist doesn't think I ever met the criteria, I was definitely getting close to it. I have gotten much, much better after working with her for 2 years so far, and if I could look at my life right now in a vacuum, I would actually be pretty happy. The problem is that I can't get over a lot of what happened during the past 2 years. At the time, I was getting absolutely curb stomped by my rejection sensitivity. Some of the rejection was real, most of it was cognitive distortions. All of it hurt a lot. At the time, I knew that I was extremely sensitive, but I couldn't tell the mountains from the molehills. I didn't know how to manage my emotions. I don't know how to communicate effectively. So instead of risking ruining my relationships with what has probably not been a big deal, I ended up just suppressing everything, pretending things were fine, and having private meltdowns every week or two until I built the skills and resilience to handle things in a healthier way. So now I'm pretty good, but I get triggered a lot. Very benign things remind me constantly of past pain, both for the real rejections and the perceived ones. It's like a broken leg that didn't really heal right. Most of the time it's fine, but I walk too much or bump it or the weather changes, ow. Unfortunately, I have good reason to believe that trying to talk it out will make things worse. I feel stuck. I got a text. I can't fix it myself, but I also can't ask for help. TLDR, there's a lot of stuff that hurt me really badly in the last couple of years. If they happened now, they would not be a big deal. But the hurt was real, and I can't seem to forget it or get over it. How can I let it go so it stops hurting me? Thank you, Anonymous.
Okay.
It's a good one.
There's a lot of stuff in here that I think, Anonymous, I think you did a great job of really kind of painting the picture of what this was like for you. Because I definitely, I think you did a great job describing it. You know, like the fact that even though you recognize that some of it was some cognitive distortion, that doesn't mean that it doesn't affect you.
Right.
Doesn't mean it didn't hurt, right? I think that's a really good observation there. So part of me thinks that, I'm trying to find the right way to phrase this or explain it, but it's almost kind of like these are problems that you have when you've gained enough experience and you've made enough progress to have these problems.
Right.
Yes. I mean, like, and so in a way, it's kind of like, this is awesome because these are some great new problems to have, right? You know, it's kind of like,
you remember them rather than living in them.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I just got done golfing. So like a lot of the analogies that are popping in my head are golf analogies.
Go for it.
It's like there's some stuff that I really struggle with in my golf game because I've gotten to the point where now this becomes a problem.
Okay. Yeah. You made enough progress.
Yeah.
Now you have a new problem to address.
Yeah. So like, it's like, in a way you kind of have to kind of rephrase it in that way, kind of get that different perspective. Cause yeah, I mean, you also used a really good analogy of like recovering from an injury where it's like, okay, I've recovered from the injury, but that doesn't mean I'm 100% okay. Right. You know, I still have to be careful. I can still bump this on things. I can still twist it and it still causes me some problems. Right. But I think the overall, especially when we're looking at mental health, what is our main goal? Our main goal a lot of times is not to like have no mental health issues.
Right.
Our goal is to improve functioning and decrease symptomology.
Right.
So it sounds like you're actually achieving that.
Right.
Your functioning has improved tremendously, it sounds like. Symptoms seem to have gone down.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that they're going to go away. And it doesn't mean that you can live carefree. You still have to be careful with some stuff.
Right.
But I mean, like all of this to me, it sounds like it's problems you experience because of progress.
I like that. Yeah, that's a really good point. I think a couple of things about this. One, I want to talk about the reality of pain. So subjective pain, which the writer talks about like, yeah, a lot of this stuff was perceived. It wasn't real, but because of my cognitive distortions, I suffered, right? So like emotional anguish occurred. That part is real. Like that suffering part is real. And I think that this is a really good question because it highlights for listeners, sometimes when you're talking to somebody and you can tell that they're hurting over something that didn't align with kind of reality, you feel like the best gift I can give this person is to correct reality for them. Just tell them that they're wrong and that this is what really happened, and that will rob them of their pain. Right. All of a sudden, the bone will align again and everything will be fine. Well, it isn't exactly that simple. And so sometimes what frustrates people when they see therapists do their work, like especially if you get to be party to it, like family therapy or couples therapy, you'll notice that we don't just immediately try to dismiss what the person's feeling by just subjecting them to reality. Like, oh, don't worry, this is all self-inflicted. Here you go. Here's the answer. We go to that, but in a very circular route, circuitous, because we know that pain still is there. And so we're oftentimes trying to address that pain in a very real sense while slowly helping the person learn to challenge what their perceived cause of that is. So I say all that because I think it's important just to teach the general audience about how subjective pain is still real pain. The second thing is interesting to me, writer, because we talk about how talking about this at this time in your life, you are aware that does not help. And I got to tell you that immediately kind of removes one of my tools that I probably would have suggested, which is, okay, what I want to see this as is lowercase t trauma. Because the pain was real, even if if the situation wasn't. So, like, here's an example. When I do trauma timelines with patients, which I've mentioned before in the show, it has to do with kind of mapping out meaningful highs and lows in their lives, and subjectively understanding what that meant to them at the time. So when I give this assignment, I give people an example. I say, let's imagine that at 7 years old, you discovered there was no Santa Claus. Spoiler alert. And
Jeez,
my bad.
What the hell?
And like subjectively at that time, you'd grade that as a -5 out of 5. Like this was the worst kind of trauma. Now at 40 years old, you look back and go, well, that's obviously silly. And so you don't want to give it a -5. But when you think about it, you still think, God, that really cratered me at the time. It was really powerful. And now I feel silly for having so much pain and memory associated with this when I know that wasn't big. For a therapist, that doesn't surprise us. It doesn't surprise us because the subjective unit of trauma at that time was high. It was very painful. Even if, looking back, you can see the reality that was greater than that moment, to you at that time, the human who lived that story, this is how much pain you experienced. That pain stays with you. Even if your brain logically reconciled what was happening at the time and has made peace with it, the pain is still there. So for that, therapists usually want to try to use trauma treatment, which is usually going to be going through the process, discussing what it was like, hearing about the pain anew, kind of allowing you to sort of air these thoughts as they arrive and kind of process those emotions with language. But I guess it's tricky because in your letter you say, I know talking about it doesn't help. So in that case, I guess I kind of go the other way with it and think, okay, I guess my hope for you then is that over time we kind of get these diminishing returns. It's only been 2 years, and I know that seems like a lot, but honestly, when we're taking on a lifetime of misinterpreting other people's rejection and getting into those cognitive distortions of personalizing and mind reading and fortune telling, man, if you're even making the progress to not do that anymore, it's going to take a long road before your brain starts to reconcile a lot of that pain from the past and starts to like kind of tamp that down. So I guess I would say time is your ally in that sense. But I also receive and respect what you wrote, that you are discouraged, and it has been 2 years. And there's a part of it that thinks, damn, dude, like this is not working for me. But I'm really glad to hear that you're in therapy anyway, and like that you've made this kind of progress. Like Nick said, in some ways it's a good problem to have new problems.
Yeah.
A lot there. So, but hang in there, writer. I mean, continue to do the work with your therapist. If you're showing up in good faith, you're bringing these things up. I wouldn't be surprised if the therapist says, hey, let's take kind of a trauma absorption and reprocessing method. And that might be something you might want to look into. Maybe something like EMDR that's a little bit more targeted, especially if talking about it in general hurts. You might benefit from talking about it in a really intentional and strategic way that's sort of designed to have an outcome every time you do it. So you might want to look into that. That might be a road that gets you somewhere better. So
yeah,
doing something better than doing nothing. But great question. And glad to hear that you're doing the work. We are going to take a quick break. And when we come back, oh, wow, we're talking about EMDR. Huh. That worked out. Changing therapists and EMDR. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Nathan's Hot Dog Scoop, Dr. Ben Don, Richard Macy, Lord Colin Stewart, Sammy Scoop, Polygon, Take It EV Podcast, and Paris. And would you like to sponsor the show? Become a therapy producer. Go to patreon.com/therapy and sign up. Our
Why?
second question.
Jacob's dangling a banana again. You know, this is workplace harassment.
It's his banana. This
It
is
is
how
his
it.
banana. He does dangle.
Let him dangle.
We're in his studio.
Yeah.
He dangled all the bananas
All right.
at once.
In which of the following cities is CERN located?
Chicago.
A. Chicago, Illinois.
Oh, it's an option.
It's not.
Oh,
A. God damn it.
what?
Alec, I can't pronounce this. Okay.
Oh, spell it.
I wanna
Let me
say
do it. I'm really good at
Meyrin-
pronouncing things.
Myron, Switzerland. Meyrin.
Okay.
That feels
Myron,
right.
Switzerland.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Saint Genesis Paulé in France. Paulé. Saint Genis Paulé.
Genet, Pauli.
Oh God damn it, Alec.
I'm
son of a
glad you
bitch.
have it to do this.
That
word is pronounced Milwaukee.
Prevesen Moens, Switzerland.
Okay.
I gotta get this.
This is
closer.
fun watching you do this.
Ferny Voltaire, France.
Fernie.
Ferney, Ferney Voltaire.
Okay.
France.
All right.
E. none of these cities, or F, all of these cities.
Oh.
Oh, look at you.
Oh, whoa.
Curveball.
Isn't this thing really big?
Well,
You're thinking of Hadron Collider, aren't you?
I mean,
I mean, a collider's a collider, man.
there is a
Aren't they
collider
big?
in CERN, but I mean, that doesn't mean that their like company is not spread out
Well, hold
in
on.
different places.
No. The thingy is big. That's why the what
The
does
Hadron
CERN mean
Collider?
was
European. Like, it's not just like Bob's super collider. Like,
I
it's-
believe CERN built a collider, and that is part of CERN, but it might not make up all of CERN.
I think a collider is a huge hoop.
No, it is. The collider is big.
Yeah.
I'm
And
saying
Europe's not big. So it probably just goes right through like all of Europe.
let's say that the NFL were a single company,
Yeah.
which it's not. Each team is its own company, but let's say it was a
Right.
single company.
Right. Where is it?
Yeah, so like that means that it would be located in all of those places, and they built big things in all of those places.
Yeah, that are
or
integral.
they might not, or like I believe that the home office for the NFL is in Stamford, Connecticut,
Oh, okay. Interesting.
and
Must
so
be
like that's
tax
where the
dodging.
NFL is built
Okay.
or is located, but they're also located in other places as well.
All right, I'm going hard on all of the above. I think it's going to be all those places. And I think it's going to be because it's like a giant ass hoop that like is laying on the continent. And so
I'll-
that's like all of it.
Since I said Geneva earlier, I will say none of the above.
Because you feel like it is in Geneva.
I'll stay with Geneva.
I feel like Geneva is the right
Okay,
answer.
so I will pick the right answer.
Good.
I'm going to say C.
Which one is that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Why you gotta
Say it out loud.
Prevesen
Frenchy.
Moen. Moens?
Moen.
Prevesine
Moen.
Moens?
That's pretty good.
Moin.
Switzerland.
All right.
Oh, Switzerland feels good because that was the thing. Isn't
You're
that where
going all
Geneva-
of the above, right?
I'm going everything. I think it's
Yeah.
everywhere.
Geneva is in Switzerland.
all
yes.
at once. Yeah, that's what I'm going with.
All right. All right.
It's in each of us. CERN is an idea, not a place. Yeah, that's where I'm going with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
all of them.
Ah,
Unless you're being super pedantic.
Which I am.
The LHC runs all
That's the
under
large-
all
that's
of
the Large
the
Hadron
cities
Collider.
listed
Which is
above.
CERN.
Ah.
But
Yeah.
most of the lab spaces are in Marin.
Oh,
So, okay.
so I was right though. Is that where we're landing?
Unless
on
we're
that?
being pedantic, which we are.
We are being
Yes.
pedantic.
Yeah,
So we're all wrong. Everybody loses points.
Jim's
Yep.
right because CERN is a place in your heart.
Everyone loses points.
No,
It's already
Jim,
decided.
you're just the least wrong.
Yeah. I'll
But-
accept that.
but
No,
you're
that's
all
fine.
wrong.
That's fine. That's literally my entire life motto. Not aiming for right. Like I'm just trying to just clean up the mess. That's 100%.
Don't have to run faster than the bear, just have to run faster than my partner.
Changing therapists and EMDR from Anonymous. Dear life coach Jacob
Hello.
and the other two.
All right,
Long
all right.
time listener here. I wrote in a while back with my he's now waving his banana in the air. That we don't air this on Twitch is really just stealing from people at this point. Long time listener, I wrote in a while back with my excessively long list of previous mental and physical traumas, dodgy childhood, and a recent medical diagnosis. I've been reliably in therapy for about a year now, working mainly on CBT for anxiety and doing quite well. Unfortunately, my healthcare anxiety has flared up recently, coinciding with some more time at the doctor's. Even more unfortunately, my lovely therapist is going on maternity leave, and I don't feel ready just yet to go back into the world alone, so I decided to find another therapist to continue my journey. Since the pandemic, it's proven exceedingly difficult to find any therapists who are willing to provide in-person sessions. Personally, I want to feel a connection with my caregiver, and I'm strongly against living any more of my life through a screen. Eventually, after some 40 rejections, I found a new therapist in my area who seems like a nice fit. We had a phone call yesterday, and she mentioned that she thinks we should add in some EMDR on top of my CBT toolkit to address the root cause of my traumatic memories. For context, there are a few instances in my life, childhood memories, and a bad physical accident, that are just too painful for me to even think about. They elicit a strong, anxious reaction, and I find myself physically shaking the thoughts from my head. I mentioned this to my new therapist. I mentioned the new therapist to my current one. Is this taboo? I feel like I was in a breakup. And she didn't react with much encouragement about EMDR. Her exact words were, you wouldn't get that from me. and it's just a different direction than we were going. I'm usually up to try anything once, and my choices for in-person therapists are limited, so I'm due to start with the new therapist in 2 weeks. My questions are these. Number 1, I'd really love to know what you guys think of EMDR for trauma work. Is it science or voodoo? Number 2, I feel I have a strong cognitive behavioral therapy toolkit to recognize and overcome my mental distortions and anxious thoughts. However, as I mentioned, I still find it incredibly painful to think of these traumatic events in detail. What advice do you have to break this emotional loop? Is there another type of therapy I could look at? Thanks again for all you do for mental health. Love the show. Best. And it's signed J. Pronouns are he and him. P.S. I really think you guys should stop doing geography-based trivia because it's really damaging Nick's credibility as a functional human being. Oh boy, do I agree with Jay. Man, Jay just nailed it.
No, I think
Also,
this
Jay
is,
may think I'm
hold on.
Nick.
This is an honest mistake. Honest mistake.
This happens sometimes.
I mean, unless he's saying that because I am really good at geography, that
Yeah.
maybe it makes the appearance that I'm competent when I'm really not.
Here's the difference.
But I don't think so.
I don't
think-
claim to be good at it. And so when I get anything right, everybody's cheering for me.
I've never
God,
seen
I
you
don't
not
know.
claim to be good at anything.
I am
gotta-
the Rudy of geography trivia.
I gotta push back on that.
I get on the field and everybody's on their feet like, God help him, let him get the ball.
No,
like
I
it'd just
think-
be such a big day. Like everybody's hoping. You guys have set yourselves up to be like really good at this. And so when you guys
Nope.
miss one, people are like, oh, what a piece
Nope.
of shit. That's
I have
what's
said
happening.
over and over again that I am not good at geography unless you compare me to you.
Yeah. Then you're dunking on me.
Yeah.
That's true.
Then I am Michael Jordan playing against an 8-year-old.
Well, Nick, on the other hand, he has established himself as pretty damn good at geography.
I love geography.
So when he misses the putt, people are like, wow, you're better than this. Whereas for me, if I even hit the ball, doesn't matter what direction it goes in, people are cheering, they're on their feet. Rudy. That's happening. I agree
Rudy
with
wasn't
Jay.
bad at what he did. He was just small.
Oh, I also have never seen the movie. I just assume it has something to do with a guy,
Yeah.
people cheering.
This is why we make fun of you, because
Yeah.
you boldly and confidently go forward
Yeah.
with things that you know exactly nothing about.
I know two things about Rudy. One, he
Go on.
played for Notre Dame.
Okay.
2, it's the dude from the Hobbit movies.
In the movie, yes.
Yeah. He's the same guy that was in like,
You know it's a real person too, right?
oh shit, that's a real thing?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a real story.
Oh my God.
As
Is
he
that
was
about
talking,
Rudy
I realized
Giuliani?
that he did not know that.
Yeah.
This is the dude that became the mayor of New York?
That's right.
Oh my God.
And then went on to give speeches at lawn product
He doesn't
centers.
look that small in real life.
He looks more vampiric now.
Yeah. And melty.
Yeah.
And like he should be in jail.
No, his
Maybe that'll
last
happen.
name was like Rudenbarger or something like that.
Oh, that's why they called him Rudy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That's not how you say his last name, but it's
No,
something
it's-
along those lines.
Oh God, I just had it.
It's like Rudengruber
Bacher,
or
maybe. Oh, that's the popcorn guy.
that's it.
That's it. Orville Redenbacher, the football star.
That's right.
And popcorn guy.
Rudiger.
There
That's
you go.
it. That's what it is.
Yeah. Rudy Redenbacher,
That's it.
the popcorn man.
Okay, so number 1, EMDR.
I'll tell you right now, I don't know what the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia has to do with mental health at all.
Not even a little bit.
No.
But
Glad
he
we
supports
brought
the
that
show,
up, though.
and so keep those checks coming, Your Highness, and we will continue not talking about Saudi Arabia. Patreon.com/therapy. We almost got through the whole show without a lot of
Well, we
inside
did. I know.
jokes.
We did really good for a while
Damn
there.
it.
Yeah.
But I thought we were going to do it.
I'm sorry, Tess. I tried.
Jim's mom's bat.
Laura's a Nazi.
Laura's a
Sorry.
Nazi.
Just falling all over
I
ourselves
think you're
now.
caught up now.
Let's
Jim
just get
doesn't
them
know
all out there.
geography.
Yeah.
Jim doesn't know geography.
or much of anything else.
Yeah.
That's mainstream stuff.
All right. EMDR.
Oh yeah, there was a question.
Is it science or voodoo?
What is it?
It's okay. Eye movement desensitization and reprocessing.
Oh, it's that one.
that
Yeah.
one.
Okay.
So we've talked about this before on the show. We've actually gotten a similar question before.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
is
we
this voodoo? Is this bullshit, or is this science? Because this seems very woo. Like it seems really kind of crazy. But actually, out of all the things in psychology, it's probably got some of the best research supporting its use.
Yeah, it does.
So let me ask this question. Is it something that works? If I don't believe in it, does it work?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like hypnotism
Right.
where you have to agree to it in order for this to like work, because it's not really psychosomatic like that.
Like if I take a Tylenol, that's going to have effects on my body whether or not I believe that Tylenol does anything.
Right.
And so like
But it will be much more powerful if you believe in it. That's true. That's the placebo magnification effect.
Yeah.
Thank you. So this is in that camp.
Yeah.
This is in the
Yes.
camp where whether I think it's woo or not, it's going to do something.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely put it in the science category there.
Great.
There's a lot of research that supports it. It's been shown to be very effective. So it's not as woo or voodoo as it sounds.
No.
I just like saying woo.
Me
Yeah,
too.
that's-
Woo! Even though it gets me a lot of hate online. So
Mainly from
EMDR
Ric Flair.
is legit. And here's the theory of this, right? So let's just kind of back up and talk about what is trauma. So trauma is a pretty big word in mental health, and a lot of people just kind of stamp it on a lot of different things, which is actually fine. Like sometimes you'll see me getting really picky and finicky about the use of words. I'm not very protective of that word trauma because we need a word, right? We need a word that just means the imprint of emotional, physical, or mental pain that's happening in a person's life. So what happens is when humans experience trauma, and let's go ahead and put that word on a continuum, right? So let's kind of 0 through 10 it. It doesn't matter where you are on that. If you experience this emotional pain, it's going to imprint and it's going to stay with you. And that's how humans learn. That's how evolution works. Pain is our greatest teacher. And so emotional or mental pain also is a teacher. That doesn't mean it has the right lessons. And that's where we have these outcomes, right? Where now it's like, man, I think back and I feel a lot of shame or pain about things. It's not helpful. The higher we go on that Richter scale, where we're getting up to like the 10.0 trauma, that's when we're starting to get to things like the writer's talking about, where I can't even think about that past memory. When I'm around things that even remind me of that, even vaguely, sometimes outside of my awareness, I react. I suddenly am not okay. I suddenly feel shaky. I feel like I'm avoidant of those thoughts or places or things. And now we're starting to get into the diagnosis of trauma disorders, of which there are several. There's not just PTSD. So how do we treat trauma? When humans have this imprint of emotional pain on that 0 to 10 scale, we almost equate it to like a poorly saved memory file in a computer. So there's an error in this coding, and the brain doesn't quite know how to code or understand this particular memory. It feels unresolved, it feels confusing, it's still emotional. And as long as that continues to be sort of unresolved, we continue to have the flashbacks, we continue to have symptoms that are associated with that pain. So what do therapists like to do with trauma? A lot of times the work we're going to do with it is reprocessing. What does that mean? We're going to reopen the memory file, and with the human, that means we're going to ask you questions about it. We're going to start talking about it in a very strategic way. And the goal actually is to kind of make that file editable again. And we're trying to integrate that file. I'm mixing my metaphors, but I'm kind of sticking with coding. We're trying to get you to edit that file, add text to it, change and alter text in it, absorb and understand it so that when you save it, the error is resolved and it just sort of integrates back into your mind. Now, that's just traditional trauma work. We call it reprocessing. So what EMDR did is it kind of took that to another level by realizing the brain was doing all this very active work whenever it was reintegrating the traumatic memory. And we could see that on fMRI machines. Well, whenever they invented EMDR, what they thought was, hey, wait a minute, why don't we use bilateral stimulation? So most folks know in neurology that your brain is actually divided into hemispheres, and that those hemispheres work as a team to do certain things, depending upon what you're having to do. So physical things, or even, some like thinking exercises, an entire hemisphere of your brain may activate to resolve that or to do the action that you're trying to do. So what bilateral stimulation is intentionally activating each hemisphere of the brain in sequence, left and then right and then left and then right. Doing that while we are doing the traditional method of reprocessing trauma. And what we've discovered is that by doing both of these methods at the same time, we were greatly increasing the result. And what was the result that we were looking for? We were trying to recode the memory, to resolve the error, to integrate it back so that we didn't feel subjective pain or fear when we were reminded of that past event or when we think upon that past event. So people that have gone through EMDR, that's what they're doing. They're sitting with the therapist and they're going to discuss in these very strategic ways that we have advanced trauma training to do. But now they're also going to ask you to physically do something It might be moving your eyes from your left to your right and following a light signal that they have in the room. It might be that they give you 2 objects, paddles sometimes, or spoons, and they have you sit at attention and lift your right hand and place the spoon back on your knee, and then lift your left hand and place the spoon back on your knee. And what are we doing with that? We're just trying to get hemispheric activation in your body so that we can get different parts of your brain to light up. And while you are doing that physical action, eye movement usually, or it could be physical like hands. Sometimes we have vibrating paddles that people hold, and we're trying to stimulate hemispheres of their body, usually through their hands or feet. It doesn't have to be eyes. But we couple that with the reprocessing, and by doing that, we get better outcomes. So it is science. But like a lot of psychology is invisible to the human eye, right? Because we're not looking at a broken bone and then you get a cast and there's a pin in it, we can see it all on an x-ray. We're looking at the software of code in the computer, and that is not something you could take a picture of. That's something you interact with, and you kind of discover that the program is running better or not. So because of its invisibility, a lot of people think of it as voodoo, and because it gets a lot of positive press, and it is a hot topic right now, and there's a lot of therapists that are getting into it and doing it, this is one of the fads that I enjoy. I do not practice EMDR personally. I did not choose to go do the advanced training on it. I do trauma work, but I kind of stick to classical reprocessing because I just feel like it's a better fit for my method. But those who do EMDR, if they're certified in it and they're doing it correctly, then I am all for it. And it's one of those fads that I'm actually enthusiastic about. And I'm glad when I see therapists flocking to like seminars to do it. It's one of those things that captures the same audience as sometimes the more woo fads, but it is legit, it is based in science, and it works.
So second question, using the CBT, been very helpful, but kind of gets stuck in an emotional loop. Is there another type of therapy you should be looking at? Yeah, EMDR.
EMDR, yeah. That's why the other therapist is suggesting that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because CBT is going to deal with more here and now stuff and give you the tools to question perception. That way you can land on good conclusions. But of course, those emotional memories, they defy logic. They are emotional memories. They're unresolved and error-ridden files. So that's what the trauma reprocessing work's going to get better access to rather than that surface-level CBT stuff. Great question. And I'm really glad you're doing this. And I always look forward to opportunities to talk about really neat science treatments because we're for them. Like, we like stuff that's evidence-based. And that's not us being exclusive or weird. It's us kind of being healthcare people. So
a little bit.
A little bit. I like to think that we are still exclusive and weird. All right. Before we do the wrap-up, do you want to do one more CERN question? Because I kind of like these.
Okay. Sure.
Let's do it. How many do we have total?
I
think you said 6. So then we should do 3 a show to burn through them.
There's 5. So we currently have 4
right.
and 5. Oh, so we can do one more.
Yeah, let's
we'll
do it.
one more, and then we'll do 2 next week.
Okay.
Ow, screw it. I said let's do all of them.
Yeah, you know what? Let's go big. Let's go grande.
All right.
Yeah,
all right.
let's just do the damn thing.
And that's not an inside joke at all.
No, let's just get all of them out there.
All right.
Also,
all right,
allegedly, one of our fans wrote in and said that they sent you another trivia of children's TV shows or something like that.
Oh.
Yeah, I tagged you
to our.
I think it. I don't know. We'll have to find it. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll help you find it. So
yeah,
we have more
we've
trivia.
got like 500 unread emails.
Yeah.
Now don't get excited, people.
Most of them are for penis pills.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not that.
It is 99% spam.
Yeah.
We have to filter through.
Yeah. Well, we get to filter through. I enjoy it.
Correct.
A lot of great offers in there.
Jim's bought so many penis pills.
They're going to work too. It's a quantity game.
All of the following countries except one is a member state of CERN.
Okay.
Which of these countries is not a member state?
All right.
Pick the lemon.
A, Serbia. B, France. C, Israel. D, the United States. E, Switzerland.
Damn. This is hard.
I'm going to guess U.S.
Yeah, they're not part of it. The E in CERN is European. Is Israel in Europe?
Israel is, I think, in Asia. Yes. Yeah, they're technically in Asia, I believe.
I'm going with United States.
I'm going to go with Israel.
That's my second go. That's my second guess.
Serbia feels far away too.
No, Serbia is a
Eastern European.
It's one of the Baltics. Yeah.
Okay, then yeah, I'm going U.S. You're going Israel. Jacob, what's your call?
I already went U.S.
Okay,
okay.
we got double
All right,
down
all
on
right,
United
all right.
States.
Okay.
I went
Be there.
U.S. first.
Be there, America.
Before it was cool.
Damn it.
Be there.
The United States of America, because obviously the
USA.
United States would have
USA.
one of the world's largest
USA.
economies, but still not be a member state.
That's right.
Okay.
Because we need to buy our guns, Alec.
Fair. Fair.
CERN is like incredibly expensive.
We ain't got time for this science bullshit.
That
We gotta
Large
build
Hadron
bombs.
Collider, like, now I want to look up. Is the price tag of the Large Hadron Collider a question?
Yeah,
I don't
that's
believe
gonna be
so.
a very
Because that's what I'm about to
one.
look up.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm curious now. 'Cause I know it's a big number.
Well,
All
I'll
right.
tell you, the only super colliders America does are drones.
Let's do our exit for the
Okay.
for the
And then
because we got a
circle
whole
back.
bunch of people to thank. So let's
Okay.
do that, and then we'll come back with the last two questions.
So this show, if you are just discovering it, is a therapy, mental health, education show. It
And
only
congratulations for getting through the
Thanks
entire
for being
episode
here.
without knowing that.
I know, yeah. Thanks
Pretty
for sticking
amazing.
around. Yeah. The show
Inside
exists.
joke explained.
There's a jingle for everything. This show exists and can exist because there are people that just decided they are going to finance it. They just wanted it to exist, and so they've made it possible. And all those people go to patreon.com/therapy, and they access some extra content for doing that. They get an hour, usually up to an hour of pre-show hangout where we just kind of talk about life, and it's a little bit more casual. That's how you get access to a lot of inside jokes. They have access to our Discord server where they can chat with us and really enjoy the community that surrounds this show. And then we also pop off with special content, like we do movie stuff, or we'll do like deep dives into interesting things that are happening in psychology or science or news. And that's irregular, but it's out there too. And also our fantasy football league and a lot of other random stuff that we do, like our March Madness brackets. There's just a community that surrounds this. And so they all finance it at patreon.com/therapy. And in the first week of every month, we always recognize all the new people who have joined us, or not just new, but everybody that's part of the Therapod army. So I think that as of this taping, Nick, we do have a new Therapod to announce.
We do. We've got Musa.
Welcome, Musa.
And then we have a new pterodactyl, too. I'll just
ahead,
put
yeah.
that out, too. We got Tony
S?
Scianna.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Scianna.
That's a city in Switzerland.
Scianna. Tony
Scianna.
Scianna. Tony Scianna.
Tony Scianna. Yeah. From the Milwaukee Sciannas.
Yeah. Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, Tony. And it's first week of the month, so we do want to thank all the folks that make the show possible at the Therapod level and up. So thank you, Keely, Benty, Lil Bear, Angela, Ash Cartwright, Alec Lancaster, the dude who sent in all those CERN questions, Ginger G, Lovely Spark, Nippy, Lila, Some Nobody, Michael Matinee, Ethan Livney, nailed it, Chris the Scoopless, Lee Popsicle, Scoop NATO Bait, What Weekend, Kiana Kate with an I, Sam Buck, Sarah Olo, Grumpy Lake Mead Park Ranger, Amanda H., Colson Morrow, Jacob Harrington, Mama Ninja Scoop, Anna, Megan Smith, Dr. Scoop Little, Kernapiller, James Dawson, Charlie Quinn Starling, Natalie MC, Karen McCulloch, That Josh Guy, Ian Soto, Jessica Cyphers, Heather, Adam Petinuzzo, Mats Lenegren, Andrew Langmead, I Have the Knack, Lauren Izzo, in the Izzo, Felicia Butler, David Sorensen, Todd Canfield, Matthew Nayer, Adam Ribiznik, spelled like it sounds, Jim Hunter, Katie Chiwakowski, James K, Okie Scoop, Chelsea Saracen, Scoopy Jess, Don Dorr, Scoopatron, Richard Bruins, Joseph Pengrazio, Carrie Terhark, a.k.a. Nick's sister, Kiwi Fruit Scoop, nailed it, Brooks Lyle, Tracy Replogle, a.k.a. my mom, Craig Little, Gavin Bristow, Ulrika, Brad Kefauver, Christine Phillips, Three Scoops, a lady, Kate Keller, Scoopstronaut, Shayla Bullock, Ian Whitefall, Stacy Westerlin, Stacy Coleman, Dan Martin, Linda Brandmeier, Corey Owens. And we want to thank our pterodactyls. I'll just keep going since I'm on a
Yeah,
roll.
keep going.
Tony Scianna from the Milwaukee Sciannas. Dank Butta, Not a Scoop, Solo Cody, Cy Shonigan, Sandra McWaffle, Chris, Rich, Robert Ward, Scott Ashlock, Ryan Stewart, Slurpee Kaye, motherfucker, Angie Ellis, Andrea Anderson. Did you see Slurpee Kaye?
I did. I just saw it.
It's so
just
funny.
saw it.
His
So,
Photoshop.
go. Everybody go to Twitter. Find our Twitter on Pod Therapy.
And it's on our
Or
Instagram.
I also retweeted it.
It's so funny.
So I came across a picture of me in graduate school.
Yeah.
And I posted it.
And I posted
it
a picture
is-
of me at 21 years old.
Oh, you
like,
did? I
hiking.
didn't see that.
That
Okay.
I'm in the cover photo.
Oh,
That-
are
I'm
you?
on
I
the
didn't
other
even-
side of the cover.
I stopped. I just looked at me.
Oh, okay.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we had both recently posted younger photos of us. So Slurpee grabbed them and photoshopped them on like a Teen Beat magazine cover of Leonardo DiCaprio
Oh,
circa
that's
1996.
so good.
It's solid. It's very solid. So thank you, Slurpee. It's so funny. Angie Ellis, Andrea Anderson, Lindsay Beshara, Fred Beshara Jr., Frozen Cusser, Ice Blue Scoop, Lori Eltsroth, Scott Brady, Brian Lehman, and Robert Paulson.
Nick, what year did you say that photo was from?
That would have been 2005.
Wow.
Also, not even like.
No, not in the 90s. No. Yeah.
'Cause I was looking at that picture. I was like, "This is very Interview with a Vampire."
It does
Yeah,
look like
yeah.
it's 90s. But in
It's very
fairness,
90s.
Iowa in 2005
It
is
was
roughly
90s,
America
yeah.
in 1997.
That's
Yeah.
true.
yeah,
that's true.
that's approximately the case.
By the way, CERN spent where'd it go? There's almost $5 billion to
Damn.
build the Large Hadron Collider, and they
good
want
money.
to build a new one.
Oh,
The price tag looks like it'll be around $23 billion, but it'll be about 4 times the size of the current one.
wow. Well, that size does matter,
Okay.
Yeah.
ladies. I'm just going to read off the Thera producers
Yeah, you're
since we're
doing
here.
great.
And then can we circle back around? Because I still
Yeah.
want to do the CERN ones. 'Cause
4.75
He
billion.
teased
There it
4
is.
and 5. He said those were really
Yeah.
good ones, so I want to get there. Thera producers who make the show possible. We talk about them Illuminati, the Saccharin 16. There are way more than 16, but for whatever reason, a long time ago, we made that joke. I'm just trying to get all the inside jokes out there now. Tess made me really self-conscious.
Not
So,
me.
Darren Cunningham, Lib Paris, Samantha Cohn, Mike Helm. Stop waving the banana in my face. Mike Helm, BP, Myra, University Jeff, Tyler Bybee, Sarah Smith, Dirty B, Adam Hathaway, Ben Stanley, Peppering Pillows. Somebody's writing words now to make me say things.
Oh, he did that a long time ago.
Precariously. Oh, Peppering Pillows precariously. God. Newstick, Colin, Polygon, Sammy Scoop, Richard Macy, Kevin Chamberlain, Take It Easy Podcasts, Carolyn Albert, Mason Miller, Crazy Banana Scoop, Cindy Ash, Malia, Leon Kassab, Benjamin Dugan, Judy Schneider, Kayla Lansbury, Tess Miller.
That's Dawn, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
Robert Shields, Nathan's Meat Tube Sandwich, Jake Schneider, and Smitty Scoop.
God, I ask you to put the things together one time.
Don't
and
ask
this
me
is
to
how-
do things.
I know, I'm not
This
gonna
is
anymore.
why.
I'm not
probably,
gonna.
all these people have probably given us other names to read, and I'm just reading like.
If you'd
the
like to
raw
hear this
data.
episode uncut and unedited
And why
enjoy
wouldn't you?
our spontaneous side projects, go to patreon.com/therapy and thank you for
Jesus
supporting
Christ!
mental health.
No, we don't start the jingle.
Just know it's fine. It's
Oh,
fine.
we're gonna
We
do it
can-
afterward?
Yeah.
Oh,
we're
sorry,
good.
I misunderstood. Oh, is it me?
Yeah.
That's all time we got for this week's. How am I supposed to focus? He's literally tying it in knots. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting us. We're on social media. Just type in Pod Therapy wherever, and you'll probably find us.
Do you want to submit a question to the show? Ask anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. I'm Nick Tangeman.
I'm Jim Jobin.
Thanks, and we'll see you for your appointment next week.
All right. So, God, how is that thing not popped? Jeez, I'm uncomfortable.
There was one of
I
those.
feel harassed.
There was one of those stretchy bananas. No, the hot dog was over here.
Oh
I used
yeah,
to-
there was a hot dog.
I used to mess
for a
around
while.
with
Yeah,
that.
the
but
hot
then-
dog finally died.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
hot dog got sticky. I don't know why.
I mean, this banana isn't too long for this world. I
Yeah,
don't think.
Not the way you're handling it.
All right. The bottle of hydrogen that CERN uses to inject protons into the Large Hadron Collider would last for how many years of continuous use? Hint, the bottle is the size of a standard water bottle.
Oh.
Okay.
A, 20 years. B, 200 years. C, 2,000 years. D, 200,000 years. Or E, 2 million years.
Dude. I mean, if you're squirting out individual hydrogen atoms, I mean, it's got to be like infinity. So I'm going with the 200 million years. I'm going with whatever the biggest one was. I don't do
Yeah,
math.
that's not even, it wasn't
don't-
an option.
I think it was
so you're
2
gonna go
million.
2 million.
Yeah, whatever
2
the
million
biggest
years.
one.
Was the next one down?